Well, hello everybody. I am back today because I'm going to be talking about a new release horror film that is a part of a very large franchise. Not too long ago, it's probably been 6 or 7 months, maybe more, I did a ranking of all the Conjuring Universe films. I was a huge fan of the first two Conjuring movies when they were released. I really love James Wan. I think he's a very talented horror director, and I really enjoy both of those movies. I think that for a more mainstream horror franchise, there's a lot of filmmaking elements I really appreciate. I think he gets really great performances out of his actors. I really like the family dynamics in those films. It all blends together really well to create an interesting viewing experience. And obviously, since the first two Conjuring films were made, you've had a ton of spin-off movies. The Annabelle films, The Curse of La Llorona, and The Nun. And when I ranked these films, I said when I was discussing The Nun, I don't think The Nun is as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. It's not a great movie by any means, but it's fun and it's schlocky and it has really great atmosphere. The ending with the blood of Christ is like one of the silliest, goofiest things that you could throw into a film, and I enjoyed the experience. I didn't think that it was poorly paced. I thought that it was entertaining, and while not necessarily being anything new, it was still a fun time. I wasn't disappointed compared to something like the first Annabelle film or The Curse of La Llorona, which were just miserable slogs to get through, just not interesting in any way, shape, or form. And so with The Nun 2 coming out, I was hopeful that this would capture some of the essence of the first film and that I would still enjoy it. I was hoping, obviously, that it would be an improvement on the first film, but I didn't see it right when it came out. I waited a little bit before I got the chance to check this one out, but I am excited to talk about it with you today, and the film I'm going to be discussing is The Nun 2. The Nun 2 is directed by Michael Chaves. 4 years after the events at the Abbey of St. Carta, Sister Irene returns once again and comes face to face with the demonic force Valak, the Nun. So, as I said, I enjoyed the first Nun movie, didn't think that it was perfect, but I thought it was a lot of fun, so I was hoping that this would follow suit with that, and it did not whatsoever. I thought this movie was abysmal. I thought that it was poorly paced. I thought some of the performances were laughable. There was really no redeeming qualities to this film whatsoever. It is the most formulaic, by-the-numbers, cliche horror movie that you can watch. And for a movie that has the nun in the title, she's really not in the movie all that much. And the moments that she's placed in the movie are like the cheapest jump scares imaginable. It's just really not that great of a film. And I'll pick it apart a little bit when I talk about the film in detail. So as the plot description states, at the beginning of the movie, we are reintroduced to Sister Irene, played by Taissa Farmiga, who I actually really like and think is the strongest part of this movie. She's working with this new set of nuns. One is played by Reid, who was in the film Missing recently, who I really enjoyed her performance and was excited to see her in this film. At the same time, we're reintroduced to Maurice, who was in the previous film as well, who him and Sister Irene have separated. He's working as like a staff member at this girls' school, and he's become close with one of the teachers and one of the young girls there who gets bullied and picked on consistently, and something is going on with him. It seems like he's off and he's not correct, and Sister Irene starts having these dreams about him and finally gets a dream that says, "Please come help me." And then Sister Irene is approached by the Catholic Church and told that they need her help to go back to the place that she went to in the first movie to assist with hunting the same demon, essentially. And so the movie is her and Storm Reid's character going to this place, re-meeting up with Maurice, and fighting the nun, or as her demonic entity is known as, Valak. So the plot to this movie, to me, was not really all that interesting. This movie is pushing an hour and 50 minutes, and the problem is, the first hour of this is the most meaningless slog I've seen in a horror movie in a very long time. I tried so hard to keep myself invested and to keep myself wanting to watch more, and every scene that tried to be scary, it's just like, oh, here comes the jump scare. Every single moment is so predictable because we've seen it in these Conjuring films over and over and over again. When you have a franchise that has been around for a while now, despite the fact that not all of them are in the Nun universe, you also have the Annabelle films, La Llorona, what have you. You have to try to do something to keep them fresh and exciting and entertaining, because not everything works with the exact same formula. If you look at like a slasher franchise like Friday the 13th, they're all dumb and really not that well written, but what makes them work is that Jason is a brute who kills these campers, and what makes them entertaining is that the campers all have ridiculously over-the-top personalities. There's comedic beats laced throughout the horror elements. The kills are really interesting. The practical effects are fantastic. And so despite the fact that it's the same formula over and over again, you're given these fresh characters and new perspectives that make the series entertaining to watch. When you're looking at something like this that's so embedded in trying to really scare an audience, when the only thing that you can give me is things popping out of the dark with a loud noise, that's not scary. You have to build atmosphere. You have to create tension. You have to make me invested in the characters and the world in order to genuinely scare me. And I think that's what works with the first two Conjuring films, is that obviously you have Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga's characters who they build really well through the first two movies, and you grow to care about them, and you actually are worried for them when they're in danger. And the families that they're trying to protect, they build those characters up and they make you care for them, so that when they are in peril and when there is suspense, you care every moment as to what's going to happen because of that emotional attachment. There's also great atmosphere, eerie ambiance. James Wan doesn't just rely on jump scares to freak you out. There are truly horrific moments where the camera lingers on specific imagery that unsettles you and makes you scared. This movie solely relies on jump scares. There's not a single moment in this of any kind of like horrific imagery or anything that really unsettles me. I can't name a single moment in this hour and 50-minute runtime that I felt scared once. I just kept waiting for it to end. And there was one sequence where there's this like witch-esque Black Phillip goat looking monster that was really interesting, and it was like, wow, this is different. This is something outside of the realm of what you would normally see in this type of movie, and it's there for like 5 seconds and then it's gone, and then they just get back into the same thing, whether that be creepy little kid running down a hallway, a character we've seen dead that's like reanimated chasing after a person, or the same shots of like the framed Valak popping out at people. It's just the same recycled garbage over and over again that's not interesting in any way, shape, or form. You have to give me something new. Like, it's irritating when there's a franchise that you can really see a lot of potential. And the first Nun movie, despite how it's lackluster in quality compared to the other films, it at least had some charming moments, and there were moments that it was funny, and there was moments that it was just kind of dumb schlock, but it was entertaining. There was enough there that kept me engaged. There was also this really beautiful like gothic atmosphere that I appreciated. That doesn't exist in this movie. It's also so dark. The way that this movie is shot, there's so many moments that I feel like I'm squinting my eyes just to see what's going on screen with how dark it's shot. And this is a problem in a lot of horror movies now, is like they're shooting things intentionally dark where it's like I can't see anything on screen. Like, how am I supposed to care about this when I can't even focus on anything in the frame? And that became irritating after a while as well. And it's just a forgettable movie, which is the worst thing I can say about a film, is if it's very forgettable. And like I said, I did a ranking of the Conjuring Universe franchise not that long ago. The original Nun was above La Llorona and above the original Annabelle, but below the rest of the films in the franchise. But I still didn't think that it was the worst thing in the world. This is like right there with La Llorona as the worst thing in this universe. It's just, I might even like this less than La Llorona, because there was at least some dumb schlock in that movie that made it worth watching for about 10 minutes. This, I just could not find a single redeemable quality in it. The scene with like the Black Phillip goat demon entity was really cool, but the last sequence and the way that they fight Valak was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in a horror movie. And it just, I rolled my eyes, just like, wow, this is the best thing you can come up with. And it's unfortunate that they keep giving this to Michael Chaves, because his entire career now is the Nun Ii, the Conjuring 3, and La Llorona. I think those were the three he directed, which is like three forgettable, not really all that great horror movies. And I'm hoping with The Conjuring The Last Rites, which is supposed to be in production right now, that either James Wan comes back or they put it in the hands of someone else, because the last Conjuring movie was not very good. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just, once again, it's forgettable. There's not really anything making me want to come back to watch it again. And this movie falls right in those lines. It's just not really all that great, and I would skip it even if you've watched most of the franchise. So have you seen The Nun 2? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was terrible. There's really no redeemable qualities in it whatsoever, and I don't see myself ever revisiting this one. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.